Hello. Everybody okay? All right, great. So this is decent work for decent pay. Diplo and Big Sean in conversation. Excellent. It's presented by Billboard, and so we want to say a special thank you to Billboard for doing this. Thank you. All right, so I'd like to introduce the moderator of this panel, Bill Werde. He is the editorial director at Billboard Magazine. Please welcome Bill.
Hi, everybody. How y'all doing? Good. We're gonna have some fun today. How many people were here for the Katy Perry Q&A? Just curious. I got no kind of tough act to follow, right? So, thank you guys all for being here today. We're gonna get right into things. We've got some great talent to talk with on stage. I'm gonna start first. Big Sean is one of the most promising young MCs in hip hop. His freestyle ability convinced Kanye West to sign him to the Good Music roster in 2007. Since joining the label, Big Sean has released 4 well-received mixtapes and the finally famous album, which spawned 3 hit songs, My Last, Marvin and Chardonnay, and Dance. His most recent mixtape, Detroit, has been downloaded more than 1 million times since its release in September. Big Sean earned 2 nominations at this year's Grammy Award for the Good Music track Mercy. We're all eagerly awaiting his second solo album, Hall of Fame, set for release I think in July or August. We'll talk about that in a minute. Please welcome Big Sean. Thank you.
What's up, man?
See?
What's up? How y'all doing today? What's up, players? I mean, I'm happy to be here, so.
Thank you for rubbing my head.
Yeah, pause. Yes.
We got Diplo emerged from the Philadelphia EDM scene in the early 2000s as part of the genre-massing DJ duo Hollertronics. Hooked up with MIA in 2004 for the Piracy Fund's Terrorism mixtape and its follow-up album Arular. The two would eventually create the chart hit Paper Planes. In the years since, Diplo has collaborated with dozens of artists like Santa Gold, Snoop Lion, Shakira, Kid Cudi, Bruno Mars, No Doubt, and Alex Clare, also Usher. He's helped expose listeners to sounds from around the world, from Brazilian funk to New Orleans bounce to the psychedelic dance hall of his Major Lazer project, which coincidentally put out a new album this Tuesday. Diplo was nominated as Producer of the Year at this year's Grammys and just won the extremely prestigious Vanguard Award at last night's ASCAP Pop Awards. He was just backstage cruising Katy Perry. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to Diplo.
Cool, thank you. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for not rubbing my head.
Yeah, it's all good.
So I think a lot of the folks that tend to come to the expo, they're people that are talented and they're young and they're hungry, or maybe they're not young but they're still hungry, and they're looking to figure out how to take their talents and start to get a leg up in the game.
Right.
So you were 2 guys that both in your own ways really kind of worked your own hustle to get to where you are today. I want to start there and just hear a little bit about your stories of taking your dream to actually start to build some momentum for yourself. And if either one of you guys want to hop in on that, that'd be great.
You want to go first? Or what?
Yeah, me and Sean were talking backstage and how we both had a similar up-and-coming scene. He had it in Detroit and I had it in Philadelphia. And I think we kind of worked locally before we realized what we were doing on a national scale. We both had a connection actually with DJ Benzi, who was putting together some mixtapes and some songs for him back in the day. And I did the same thing in Philadelphia where I just started with a party. Before I was just working odd jobs. I wasn't producing yet. I was just starting with making money, making music, and putting on shows and things like that. So it started really locally, and it just grew to a point where I started to have to produce music, and I learned how to produce music. It all kind of came just by trial and error. And I think he had a similar thing where he just kind of started it there in Detroit and made noise, buzzing like that. And I think that you got to start locally 100%.
What do you think was the key for building that buzz? Because there's a lot of artists here today and writers and producers, and they're probably, most of them are working locally. Right. But the trick between working locally and then actually starting to build a buzz, like what was kind of the key besides just sort of general awesomeness? What was sort of the key for starting to get attention?
That was very important.
General awesomeness is seriously underrated.
I think, you know, you have to have originality, 100%. For me, you know, Sean's a rapper, so his personality comes out from the way he, you know, his style and things like that. As a producer, as a, you know, someone who does, even as a DJ, it's kind of hard to create individuality with the way you sound, but you have to strive to make something that doesn't sound like anybody else, or come out with a sound or an idea that just kind of is your own, you know? It's hard, I think it's hard for a lot of young producers to realize that, because a lot of them are interested in one kind of song or a style, so they kind of copy it, you know? But it's important to do something that's your own 100%.
Yeah, and it's like, on top of that, it's more spiritual, man. Like, you gotta be, you know, you just gotta really be comfortable with yourself and really believe. You know, there's times where I was like at the very bottom and just like shit wasn't working out, really. And, you know, it was those times where your faith gets tested. And if it was one thing I could have told myself, you know, a few years ago, it's that, man, don't be afraid of like fear of not being, you know, of not being successful. Don't be afraid of not making it, because nothing good ever comes out of like being afraid. Nothing good ever comes out of being negative or depressed. Like, you have to make sure that you have your vibrations high. You got to make sure you're like a good person, you know, with a loving heart, you know, that you believe in karma, that you believe in the right things, and really get your mind right more than anything. Because we all know that it's people that's talented that aren't famous. There's people who are half as talented as those talented people that are the biggest in the world. And it's not because of the talent sometimes, not all the time, that they're at the top. It's because of how they think, the moves they make, how they operate. You know what I'm saying? And you always, one of the things I wish I always also could have told myself is make sure you pay attention to the blessings God gives you. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you pay attention to the signs, because there'd be times like in Detroit where I was trying to make it work, and then, you know, I didn't go to school after I like gave up my scholarship to Michigan State, just because I believed in this music stuff. And, you know, I was living with my mom in the hood, and it was just like whack as hell to hear about how all my friends at Michigan State partying, having sex with all these girls or whatever, you know, and like I wanted to live on my own. I wanted to have sex with girls, but I was like living with my mom, you know, but I was living with my mom, and, you know, I just had like this dream.
We'll go back to having sex with girls in a minute, but
Yeah.
go ahead. Yeah.
No. But, you know, I just had like this dream, and it just really wasn't working out, and time was going by. And, you know, I'll get deeper into the story, but the point I'm trying to make is, I remember this one time I went to the studio and I spent my last $40. And I mean, I was so broke, I was driving my friend to school for money, and I was too ashamed to get a job because I was putting this facade on, like, to my whole community and friends that I was like some rapper on the way to being big time. And you know, I couldn't get a regular job, so I was driving him to work just for like $20, like super like cheap shit, man. So anyway, I remember I spent my last $40 at the studio, and I ain't like asking my mom for money because she ain't have money. And I was just frustrated, and it was like probably like 4 in the morning, and I was just like mad as hell. And I was like, man, if there's one thing I want, it's this McDonald's breakfast. I'm gonna get this McDonald's breakfast. I don't give a fuck, right? It was like, I'm getting this McDonald's breakfast. So I pulled up to McDonald's. I had no money on me. And I pulled up and I ordered the #2 Egg McMuffin, you know. And they were like, all right. I pulled around to the window, and I didn't know how I was gonna pay for it. You know, there was a little change around my car, but I just remember that they handed me the food, and they were like, all right, have a nice night, without me paying for it. And I was like, damn, that's crazy that happened, but
God was kind of speaking to you through an egg
yeah,
McMuffin.
it's just kind of like, even though that was a little sign, it was a sign that showing me I was doing the right thing with my life. It showed me that I was on the right track. And you got to make sure you pay attention to the little omens and like little signs and signals, you know. And you know, little stuff like that would always happen, and it just went to show me that no matter like how hard I was trying, I was doing the right thing. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing you have to remember doing is you got to make sure you pay attention, keep your heart in the right place, and always accept of like little blessings and like little progressions that you have, because you know, once you get to what you got, it's not all about just the prize, it's about the journey more than anything. You're gonna remember the journey more than anything, for sure.
That's true words. So, from the drive-in window of a McDonald's, let's go to a radio station with Kanye West. because this is a key moment for you. This is a little bit about how you kind of started to. That's like kind of how you got your first big break. Or?
Yeah, well, I knew I wanted to be a rapper. First of all, I knew I wanted to be a rapper. My teacher asked me in the 5th grade, asking everybody what they wanted to be. And, you know, people were saying firemen and astronauts. I want to be a rapper, sign a Def Jam. And I remember the teacher was looking at me like, oh, shit, oh, God, you know. But I always knew what I wanted. And I never canceled it out. I never said, no, that's too impossible, that's too this. I always believed it was going to happen. I just didn't know how. You know what I'm saying? So I got into recording music probably when I was about 12 or 13. I had a mentor in my neighborhood. I grew up in like a somewhat of a bad neighborhood, but there was a mentor in our neighborhood who used to like help kids out to keep them out of gangs and stuff, and his name was Sean Menifee. And he was like 6'8", and I was like 4'8", and that's how I got my name, Big Sean, because just to be funny, I made everybody call me Big Sean. And, but anyway, I was recording music with him, and, you know, I started making my own CDs and, you know, just playing them for my friends in school. And then when I went to high school, I was like, man, I'm about to like try and sell these CDs, pass them out, whatever. And I would make CDs, and I would try and make a new one for every semester. And I had a best friend who I was in a group with, and we made CDs and we sold them. We'd make like $100 a week sometimes, 150, which was like $1 million in, you know what I'm saying? And,
a lot of Egg McMuffins.
Yeah, so when I turned 16, I got my first car because my grandma had a stroke, and she had a stroke and couldn't drive anymore. So it was like a bittersweet thing. It was like I was happy I got a car, but it was sad to see her get old. And I remember the first day I turned 16, you know, she was like, oh, baby, I can't drive anymore, you know, like, you take it. So it was like my birthday gift, and I got the car, and my best friend, who I was in a rap group with in high school, was like, yo, man, you know that radio show they do at every Friday? There's a radio show called the Friday Night Cypher, where rappers would come battle MCs, and whoever would win the battles would get to like rap a verse on air, and the whole city would hear you. He was like, yo, man, we need to go do that. And I was kind of always the one who was like, I don't know about that, you know, whatever. But he would always push me, you know. We always have to battle rap. I used to hate battle rapping people, man. But, you know, we did it anyway. So the first day I turned 16.
Did you wind up getting good at battle rapping?
Yeah, I ended up being good at it, but I hated it because my voice, I don't have like an intense voice. My voice is kind of like more smooth and like player, you know. And but you know, battle rapping, people be screaming at you, you know, like Meek Mill type, you know, you know, and you just be like, oh God, you know. So, but I was good enough of a rapper, you know, that I survived in that field. And so anyway, he was like, yo, let's go down to the radio station. We got a car, ain't nothing stopping us. So we went down there. We tried out for the show. To try out, you had to battle rap, you know, some people. We battled like 2 people. We made it to like on the show, performed on the show, and we came back there every week, you know, after school. And in Detroit, you know, it would be real bad weather sometimes. It would be like 6 inches of snow. You know, my mom would be like, man, don't be going down to that radio station. But it was right after school, so I would go anyway. And, you know, we did that for like a year straight, man. And it was cool because it was giving us more exposure. We kept pumping these CDs out. And even though I wasn't getting, you know, even though it was just a hobby, I always looked at it as a job, you know what I'm saying, period. And So
you're doing well with the Cypher show.
Yeah, so we did that for a year straight. And going into my senior year of high school, Kanye was at the station promoting his album. And I went every Friday night. He was there on a Saturday morning. And I was also a telemarketer too, man, so I was like hustling like a big dog, you know what I'm saying? And,
big dog telemarketing.
Yeah, I was making like $130 a week, selling stuff over the phone.
Life insurance?
No, I was selling prosthetic limbs to paralyzed veterans.
Yeah, that's a fun phone call to make.
Yeah.
Like at dinner time, you interrupt them, they really want to hear from you.
Yeah, it was definitely. I'd be like, hey, it's Sean Anderson, how you been? Hey, calling on behalf of those paralyzed vets for, you know, just like straight up.
I've got some arms for you.
Yeah. So anyway, I was doing that, and I was cashing my check on a Saturday morning. The bank was like packed that morning, line out the bank, and one of my other homies called me, my dog Tone, and he was like, yo, man, you listening to the radio? I'm like, nah, what's up? He's like, man, Kanye's down at the station. Yo, man, if you go down there and rap for him, he'll sign you, dog. He'll sign you, man. I was like, man, that sounds dumb as hell, and I hung up on him. And then I thought about it for like 10 seconds and called him back, Because I was like, damn, that's actually, why not? You know, it's
Yeah.
like everything I've always done has always been spur of the moment. You can't think about it too much because your natural instinct is to just go with your heart because your heart never lies to you. And when I had that feeling, it was like, man, you got to just go with it, you know?
It's interesting, though, that someone had to push you, right? You didn't want to go to the radio station. You went to the
Yeah.
radio station. You didn't want to go rap for Kanye.
No, I got angels around me, man, for real. I got angels for sure. And so anyway, I was like, all right, let's go.
So what happens? You get to the station?
Yeah,
and-
so I get down to the station. Sorry, I'm taking so long. I got down to the station. Without cashing my check, man, I barely had enough money to get down there. And, you know, since I've been doing that show for a year straight, they knew who I was. I got to the station, and, you know, I lied and said I left my phone there the night before because I was just there on a Friday. So they were like, all right, you can go in the back and get it. So I went to the back, and then I went to the back where I knew, like, all the artists be at. And I saw Kanye's entourage. You know, they thought I worked there, so I was kicking it back there. I shook their hands, and I met Kanye. And Kanye was like, yo, what's up? And I'm like, yo, man, I'm an aspiring MC. Yo, I do this show here every Friday. He was like, all right, man, cool, keep it up. And he was walking away. And then as he was walking away, I was like, damn, man, I can't let this fool walk away without rapping for him. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the whole point. And my friend who was with me was like, man, what the hell are you doing? You got rap for him. I'm like, oh, I got it. So I tapped him again, and right before his bodyguard slammed me, you know what I'm saying?
I've seen his bodyguards. These are some imposing figures.
Yeah, and I was like, yo, can I rap for you? And he was like, man, I ain't got time, I gotta go. I'm like, man, you my hero, man. I ride to school listening to College Dropout, blah, blah, blah. I like gave him a super guilt trip. And he was like, all right, well, you gotta rap while we walking out the station, man. You got 16 bars, go. You know, it's basically a verse. So we're rapping while he's walking out. You know, at first he wasn't listening, and then as soon as we got to the exit of the station, he just stopped, and he was just like, damn, you know, he was just like feeling it. He was in the groove into it. So I was so nervous, I just remember rapping towards the ground, because I knew if I looked at his face, no homo, that it would mess me up, you know? Because I never met a celebrity like that, and he was somebody I really genuinely did look up to. I wasn't lying. I did ride to school to his CD. He was my favorite rapper, you know? And anyway, I rapped for like 10 minutes straight, and when I was done, a whole crowd at the radio station that gathered around. When I was done, people were clapping, and you know, that was like a crazy moment, man. He took my CD that I've been selling around high school, and he was like, yo, I'm about to listen to this in the car right now. And the story goes on and on and on. I'm just gonna tell that part of the story, how I met him.
Yeah.
It took a few years after that to actually sign to him. I gave up so much. But one thing that is crazy is that it's crazy that all those CDs led up to the CD that I had. And all those times I went to the station led up to me being able to get into the station. And all those times I practiced on the radio every night was enough courage for me to muster up and rap for him and not mess up. You know what I'm saying? So it's just crazy how one thing leads to another, leads to another, leads to another.
Was there ever like a time though from when that happened to actually putting out your first, like, you know, to actually blowing up on the radio? Was it still like a matter of time where you got discouraged though?
Yeah, man.
Because it was 2 years between when you gave him that.
Yeah, it was 2 years. So look, this is what happened. I don't know how much time we got or what. It's probably gonna take like another 15 minutes.
Yeah, probably not that much time.
Yeah, we probably don't have that much time. I'm sorry. So I'll give you a super
But the short version, yeah.
Okay, so.
I wish we had that much time.
So, you know, he got my contact that day. Didn't hear from him for a long time. I was graduating high school. And it's funny because we had a manager at the time who got us into another situation where we were flying to Chicago every weekend. It was a crazy situation to record with these producers who knew somebody at Interscope who, if we record these songs with these producers and sign a producer agreement with them, that they'll promise us a record deal. It was a crazy mixed up situation. Anyway, the situation fell through and we ended up signing some paperwork where we owed these producers $60,000. And this was before any record deal. I'm still in high school. My mom was I'm a single parent mom who's a teacher. I don't even think she made $60,000 a year. For sure she didn't. And the last time we found out that we were basically getting screwed over that situation, I was in Chicago in the studio, and I was sitting there with my homie just thinking, we were talking like, man, what are we gonna do? Like, what are we gonna do, man? And, you know, I was just like, man, don't worry, something always happens, you know? So my phone rings the next day, and it was a guy from Def Jam named Drew Rives. And he was like, yo, what's up, this Sean? I'm like, yeah, what's up? He's like, yo, what's up, man? This dude named Don C, who's Kanye West's road manager, been trying to get in contact with you, man. He been trying to get in contact with you for months. Somebody at the radio station gave us your phone number. I'm like, all right. So anyway, you know, it was like a brand new, like fresher, you know, fresher breath air, hope. Anyway, they reached out to us. Kanye wanted to meet up. You know, we met up with him, and he was like, yo, I want to sign you guys. You know, I want to sign you guys, man. You guys got what it takes to be the future. Me and my best friend, you know. And we were like, oh, shit, yeah, hell yeah. And anyway, he promised us that. Then we didn't hear anything from him for a while. I was getting to the end of my school year, and I was graduating high school with like a 3.6. I was on my way to Michigan State University, like straight academic scholarships, you know what I'm saying? Because I wanted to get out of there. You know, I wanted to get out of like the city. I wanted to be on my own. So anyway, Kanye was busy. We would be reaching out. I would be sending him music, and he wasn't replying back. And it was just real frustrating because I made a decision like, yo, I'm going to give up these scholarships. I'm going to give it all up so I could just focus my whole energy and time into this music thing. And, you know, my mom was like, yo, take a couple years, you know, as long as it takes, you know, follow your heart. You'll never want to look back wishing you woulda, coulda, shoulda did it, you know. So I was like, all right. So anyway, you know, all my friends went to school. I'm at home working, sending him stuff, not hearing anything back.
How long did it take ultimately for him to close the deal?
It took a couple years, but in those couple years, my mom was somebody who was always spiritual and somebody who was always enlightening me, and she would give me these books on the law of attraction and about creating your own world and like being a positive person. So I read these books and, you know, changed the way I was thinking because I was so angry, I was so depressed, I was like not being a loving person.
It's interesting, though, because not a lot of parents would take a kid with really good grades in high school and a college scholarship and start giving them books about how you should not go to college and instead you should pursue your rap career.
Yeah, she's a queen. I think it's because she probably gave up on her dream.
But she believed in what you were doing.
Yeah, and she looked back on her life and was like, damn, you know, I wish I could have.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's
so
great.
anyway, I did that, and as soon as I was reading these books, it changed my whole perspective on life. I was happy. Well, the things weren't necessarily going the way I wanted them to, but I was so happy, you know, good vibrations, and things just started unfolding. And, you know, like I said, nothing ever comes out of feeling bad or like being fearful. And I was just feeling good. And like and then Kanye reached back and was like, yo, they sent the paperwork. It took a couple years, and within those couple years, I learned like so much.
Just patience and yeah, I got
patience and just like beliefs, you know, spiritual. You know.
So I want to talk a little bit about, because I want to be mindful of time. I want to talk a little bit about creative process, because I think we talked a little bit about your break and about like the hustle. You know, well, actually, one thing we should just touch on real quick, because you both kind of broke this way, is mixtapes.
Yeah.
You know, if we can just kind of briefly touch on.
Yeah, you know, before I had moved to Los Angeles, I spent all my time in Philadelphia, and mixtapes was one way I paid my bills, everything. You know, I made enough money making mixtapes, but just selling music we never licensed. You know, even we never registered with ASCAP, never anything. Just
that's what ASCAP likes to hear at these times.
Well, I'm here now because I definitely paid my dues and everything. But back then we just go to the record shops in Philadelphia. At a shop called Armand's. I'd go up to Kim's Video in New York, and I would just bring a box of these mixtapes. I did a mixtape with this girl, MIA at the time, who was really unknown. We just did a record called Piracy Funds Terrorism. And we just had boxes of them. I would make them at my house. You know, they cost me 45 cents to make, and I'd sell them for like $6 to Kim's Video or Armand's or Funko Mart, whatever. And I was making like crazy for me because before I was working at Subway and school teaching and whatever I could to keep, you know, to have jobs in Philadelphia.
School teaching.
Yeah, so I taught school for a little while too. And that's when I really realized I didn't want to have a normal job because that was the most hardest job, stressful.
Did you have a degree?
No, I didn't. I did something called
So in Philly, they just are like, come on.
Yeah, they're just like, yo, if you're an aspiring producer, be a school teacher. I swear to God, though, I worked at this thing called West Services. We started as like a social worker, which you just needed like your associate's degree to do it. But I swear to God, it was all rappers and producers that were like doing the job. So it was like everybody there was aspiring to do music and things in the city in Philly, and I was doing something really on the outside. Like I was involved in the rap scene, and even early on, Kanye was someone who was really helpful for me. He came and did when he was really starting out, he came and did this show in Philly, and I traded him numbers, and I used to sell him old vinyl records and stuff I would collect in Philadelphia. And I kept in touch with him since I was like 24, you know. It's been like 10 years. And he was like he would have just moved to New Jersey or whatever, too. He was just starting out as a producer too, you know. And but back then I started making mixtapes, and it was something really that no one had done before because I was doing like mixtapes with MIA, and we were doing them like rap mixtapes, how you was selling, but we were doing something real different. We were mixing all kinds of different music in there, like indie rock, and it really was for everybody. It wasn't like a certain demographic we were making the mixtapes for, but I was, the money you could make that way before you had access to the internet so easy, where you could just, you have DatPiff and ways to get your music heard really quickly. You had to buy the CDs from me, so, I was making like 45 cents, $7 each mixtape. I was selling like, 300, 400 a week, and I was making like really good money. No manager or anything. I didn't even pay taxes back then. I didn't even have enough money for that, so I was like buying stuff. Then eventually,
you should really be careful about some of the things.
No, I had to actually catch up on my taxes recently.
You're like, no, I actually did pay taxes back then.
Yeah, but now I'm straight. But then it just.
Got the money
I'm just looking
bags
out for you,
now.
man. I'm just looking out for you.
But I mean, in the world that we are, like, Sean has, huge records on the radio all the time, but for a long time he was bubbling in the underground. I remember even we talked, I think, on MySpace or something back in the day. I think so.
Yes, sir.
So we were like in the same world in a way, and because we don't always have a mountain of money and marketing behind us to say this is our video, this is our single, this is how we go to radio. We used to have to just make the music and find the people to be interested in it, and had to be exciting.
And these days, frankly, increasingly, whether it's a major label or even an indie label, people are looking for artists and acts that have built some of their own momentum.
Right.
So you kind of have to have those skills. You have to kind of build a story.
I think a lot of young producers and rappers, they kind of feel like it's, like they don't have that journey that we had. They kind of go from like, I want to just be on that Kanye level like instantly, And a lot of kids, some kids can pull it off. Like Chief Keef is an example who really had the excitement. He kind of had like a culture and a whole, he had like a sound and a feeling behind him, and he kind of went that way. But that's a really lucky situation. That doesn't happen to every young kid who aspires. You have to have that journey. You have to put that work in, and I think that's why, a lot of other artists have that longevity, because they had to put in the work and had to learn the hard way. How to.
One quick thing I want to ask you about, because when you first started up here on stage, you were talking about the importance of building locally. Has the internet changed that? Because, like your company, Mad Decent, played such a big role in breaking the Bower track, Harlem Shake. And that wasn't a local story, really. That was a internet global story.
I think that for us, it was important just for us to build, like, I think, strength as creative people, But nowadays, I mean, we learned how to use the internet to turn it upside down. Like, back in the day, I mean, even with MIA, we broke her career and got signed to Interscope on just the buzz we had on the internet. Like, that's when you had, like, MySpace play. That was important. Like, if you got, like, a million plays on MySpace, it was crazy. Yeah. Now you have the same thing with SoundCloud. Our kids can just put up a YouTube. And, Gangnam Style is a good example. Something like that it goes viral. Things happen. And Harlem Shake, when we saw something happening with that record, we knew how to, like, incubate that and magnify the situation, because we had that experience. We knew how to, kind of manipulate with the internet. So it's not, you don't have to act so locally now, but, I think it's important to build your strengths and your creative process from
And you're both guys that have really embraced online platforms. I mean, your vlogs get watched a lot, and obviously, whether it's Instagram or it's Twitter, and I think what you guys both have in common, and it's something that some artists are better at than others, is that your personality really comes out on those things. I don't get the sense from either one of you that this, you're contrived, or you're thinking about, well, what could I say, and what could, I mean, they're both raw sometimes. They're both very funny sometimes.
I mean, I get in trouble all the time from my Twitter and Instagram. I've like, my manager's always like deleting stuff.
Actually, I have to ask you a question. Are you in any way tired of men and women sending you pictures of themselves standing upside down with their legs spread?
I started only favoriting those because I can't repost them, so there's too many of them, so I just started favoriting them.
Now, no one laughed at that. Do you guys know what I'm talking about by a show of hands?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's it, because he put out an EP called Express Yourself, and there's this whole campaign that I thought was kind of brilliant. Because at first I was like, oh, that's sexist. It's all these, but it's not just women. It's like everyone. It's like old men.
Yeah, anybody could do it, I think. But the girls were getting more popular when they did.
Yeah, but, I think they probably get more retweets.
Yeah, I mean that song, it had a life of its own. It's still going. I mean, it's still getting played in mix shows, and still when I play it live, it's girls just run on stage now and go upside down. But I didn't really plan that at all. But when I saw something happen,
that's really tight, man. That's really player.
It was a great campaign. Yeah.
But when I saw it happening, we just helped it get bigger. You can't really, if something like that happens, you just have to be able to understand that that's significant. Like
just run with it.
And I think that people should understand that don't ever try and trace somebody else's blueprint. Like that's that's not the right way. You're gonna find your own way, and the only thing you should really follow, like I said, is your heart, or at least in my opinion, you should follow your heart, your instinct. Be natural. Don't try and like do what he did or I did, or it doesn't always work like that. Just try and find the inspiration in somebody else's story, see how it can benefit yours, find your own way and apply it in that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think the bottom line is to make good music, because that's what really it matters. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
And if you have that, you can always get a team around you to help you magnify what you're doing and really put it, get the exposure. I think Kanye and good music is so great at that too. Is like when they have something, they know how to like really magnify. Like I think Mercy record like just got so huge because of the features on it, the video, everything about it like was working out. I think you have to have a team, but the bottom line is to have the music be great.
Yeah, it's a great
and
track.
the music be great, and like he said, have a great team around you. Nothing.
Yeah.
You can do so much by yourself, but you can't do nearly as much as you could do by yourself with a team, and that's so real. And man, one of my don't try and have your friends work with you as much as you can too. That's one thing that when you mix your friends with business, sometimes you have to it's a little bit harder. So make sure you watch out with
It's a good way to lose friends and business.
It's a good way to, I've lost a lot of friends, but I'm not saying it's impossible, but just like, when you do that, just make sure you guys like plan it out, have boundaries. Sometimes when it's the person you grew up with or you was like, messing with girls with and do this and you're going through business, they may not take you as serious sometimes. You really have to establish that. So that's just a piece of advice.
So we're talking about the importance of good music. I want to talk a little bit about the creative process. I want to talk a little bit about good music. What I'd like to do is take a couple of tracks, a couple songs that you guys are known for, and just talk about the creative process, kind of soup to nuts, how it started as an idea and made its way through to a finished product. Diplo, I was thinking maybe we'd start with you and talk about Paper Planes,
Right.
MIA.
So it's crazy because that with MIA, like she kind of got me to actually take producing seriously, because before that I was making just things myself, trippy records and just doing things for mixtapes. But with her, we had an opportunity on a major label to do something really different, and I think it all kind of came together with Paper Planes. At that point, that record almost didn't even make the album, and Richard Russell was that. Yeah, it's crazy. Richard Russell at the label didn't really like it. He's like, I don't understand the gunshots and the kids. What's going on with this? And then, but luckily I pushed it on there, and I went to London and had tracked it really well and mixed the record, and it was just a loop that we had. I ran that loop so many times. I just loved the way it sounded, and we just cut that record. Her record critics loved it, but it didn't do much. And then luckily it got licensed by Pineapple Express, a film put it in there. And all of a sudden, mixtape DJs started playing it. I called some friends that I had known, like Bun B's a rapper, a good friend of mine, and a Rich Boy at the time had a big hit with Throw Some D's. So I hit them up. I just knew them from parties or whatever. And I think they forgot to give me their numbers, but I just called them. And I was like, can you do this feature for me? I love this record. I'm trying to get this to have more DJs play it. And we had Bun B on it, and the DJ started playing it in the mix shows. And it just started growing from there. The commercial came out. People started playing it. It started just going viral,
From a creative standpoint, what was the process of actually building that track? Was it like you alone in a studio? Was it?
I just had a loop. I sampled The Clash, and then I had someone come through and replay it for me because I needed the parts separate. I needed to get rid of the drums in the record. And we had cut a hook that we just had redone like an old rap song, and then we worked on it a little while. And I just kind of came up with these sound effects for the hook, and it was never really finished. So I just kind of did that. And
so you were just kind of on your own. You were like, I think this track needs gunshots.
We just were having fun. It was like we were just smoking weed, I guess, in the apartment. I don't know how it happened, but the record just
legally.
we had a medical thing, and everything was cool.
Medical marijuana.
Yeah, but the record just happened so spontaneously. Like it happened within 30 minutes, the whole thing. And we wrote the verses. We only wrote one line really. We just repeated it. We never really. It's just we feel like we never finished it, but we put it there on the demos, the end of the demos things, and I think one of the interns at XL, actually the label in England, liked it a lot. So she's like, we should try to finish this record. So I went out to England, and then it happened. We didn't think much of it, And then I think about a year later, the record it kind of came out, and she was ready to end her career. She was like, I'm kind of done. I'm gonna settle down and get married and things like that. But it was like that last momentum. She just kind of decided to recharge, and that record kind of came back at us, The thing is, I never aimed for a pop record. That record ended up getting nominated for Record of the Year, and I went to the Grammys this last year, and I remember meeting some of the founders, and they were just like, we played this record in our meetings, and some of the people were scared of it. They were like, how is this nominated for Record of the Year? People were actually mad because of the way it sounded, because Record of the Year means everything. It's the writers, the way it's mixed, the way it sounds. And one of the guys just said, this is just important record right now. It's important for what's happening, you know, and like the way it sounds, and it ushers like a new sound in of what people are doing. And we didn't win. We lost to like Led Zeppelin or something, I don't remember, but it was amazing because I think once that happened, I came out to LA, I decided to move here and take producing really seriously about 5 years ago. And since then, I've just been trying to work and do as much as I can while I've been here.
Cool. So I want to ask you about the track Click with Jay and Kanye. How'd that start?
Man, well, the funny thing about it is this is just gonna take a couple minutes. The funny thing about it is,
I find that hard to believe.
When I first signed to Kanye, he took me under his wing and he was making the album Graduation. And he took me around, and I didn't know anything about albums. He showed me how to make an album. And I met Jay-Z, and Kanye would always make me rap for people. He was like, yeah, man, rap for real, you know, rap. So Jay-Z came in there, and I was nervous as hell one time. And he was like, yo, rap for Jay-Z, and I rapped for Jay-Z. And Jay-Z was like, this is back when I was 19. He was like, okay, good job, keep it up. You know, I could tell he didn't really like it. He patted me on the back and was like, cool, keep it up, whatever. I'm like, man, you'll see one day. So anyway,
I will show you, Jay-Z.
You know, then I started putting out my own mixtapes. I started making songs people could connect to. I started having my own fan base, doing shows of 100 people, 200 people. I started working with my homie Mike Posner, who was popping off in a different way, and touring with him, getting like $250 a show. Then it went up. Then I put another mixtape out, and my fan base grew a little bit more. And as opposed to just being like, yo, Kanye, can I get a verse? Can I get this? Then I get that. I was just using his brand more so, and just like trying to do as much as I could on my own, like be self-sufficient. And then I put out another mixtape, and things just kept doing better and better. And I was like building my own buzz, selling out shows around the country. Then it got to the point where I put an album out. Album came out, did good. So then we do Cruel Summer comes up, right? So we're doing all these songs, we do Mercy, all these over in London. I'm like, I hit a zone over there. I'm coming up with all this, I'm lacing all these tracks. And people were like rewriting their verses to match my verses. It was like real, man. It was like a real fun time in London. And I came up with Click, and the song was, you know, when I came up with it, people were kind of like, oh, it's cool, you know, whatever. I was like, all right, you know. So it was just on the back burner, and then Kanye was listening through all the ideas, and he was like, yo, this is it. This song is cold right here.
You came up with the verses, or you came up with the beat?
I came up with the hook.
The hook, okay.
Yeah, Hit Boy came up with the beat. And, you know, so.
And how did that work? Was Hit Boy with you, and you guys
yeah,
were
we were all in London. We were right next to Buckingham Palace, which is the royal palace where the Queen was. And we rented out the hotel at the very top floor, and it was like a whole bunch of loud music and a whole bunch of weed smoke. And I don't know from who, of course. But, you know, it was like the royal family was staying under us. They would be complaining, like, we smell weed. We smell like, you know.
Oh, the royal family is staying under you in a hotel.
We don't know what that's from, but, you know. So anyway, we made that song.
You got high with the Queen.
Yeah, and he was like, yo, Click, we using it for the Good Music album, man. You should do a verse to it. I'm like, oh, that's tight, because I already did the chorus to it. So I did a verse to it, sent it back. Everybody did a verse to it, and they said Kanye, I guess Jay-Z, I wasn't there, but Jay-Z came into the studio and was listening to it, and he was like, yo, I need to hop on this one. And, you know, usually when Kanye and Jay-Z do stuff, they do it together, and that's it, you know. And everybody was on there. I'm not gonna say the names, but a lot of people were on that song, and Jay was like, man, take everybody off except Young Boy. He was on there spitting, you know what I'm saying? So I got the word, and I remember when I rapped for Jay-Z and he was like, good job. I was like, yeah, nigga, one day. You know what I'm saying? One day it's gonna happen. You gonna see what's up. So he requested me to stay on that song because he was like, yo, you snapped on here. And then, you know, so that was the only verse on there. And then Kanye did a verse, and then Jay-Z did a verse. And it was just so funny because I was like, damn, 2 years ago I was sitting here like, how can I get on the track with Jay-Z and he thinks I'm whack? And now I'm on the track with Jay-Z and he thinks I'm tight. You know what I'm saying? So that was just cool that came about like that.
I want to ask you guys a little bit about live shows, because it's something that I think a lot of times, especially in hip hop, it gets thought about last, as opposed to, you know, I mean, people are thinking about the tracks, and they're thinking about how to market themselves, and they're thinking about a lot of things, and then...
Live shows?
Yeah, live shows. Like,
Not for these artists.
well, no, not for. I'm just saying though. Like, tell me a
little.
little bit about that. Like, tell me, because everyone's got to start somewhere. And I see artists all the time where, you know, these days you can hear a track online and you're like, well, that's pretty good, but it happens so fast, and then suddenly you'll go see the artist and it's like, well, they're just not ready. They might be talented, they might get there one day. So, you know, tell me a little bit about the importance of live show and how you guys got better at entertaining crowds.
His live show is awesome, by the way.
No doubt.
Mine is pretty good too.
Yeah, we did a show together though.
Yeah, we did a couple
the
shows
summertime,
together. I know.
yeah.
You know, he's crazy, man. He does crazy things.
It's
crazy
kind of hard because I think right now, like it's so exciting. You have dance music festivals and dance music kind of like everywhere in the country, and I think LA is one of the places where it started to really buzz and build. But I just saw like an opening with dance and DJs that with the Major Lazer project. That's kind of what I'm doing now, mostly live. We just saw like a opening to where we can do something crazy because DJs are pretty damn boring. Like it's like.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be real with you. It's just like this, and you know, we don't really do much. The music is exciting, but the show isn't much going on. So with Major Lazer, I wanted to bring something that's just like a full force, like circus and Caribbean party or whatever I can do, and just make it as crazy as possible because you only get one chance to do that at a live show. I think we just played at Coachella this last Saturday. We're playing day after tomorrow, and I think you got to take it real seriously because that's like a lot of your distribution, a lot of the people hear about your music live now. Like it used to be mixtapes when I first came out, but now if you have that buzz going, that's the best way to gain momentum. People talk about your show, they got to come see your show, they start to know your songs, so you got to take full advantage of it for sure, you know?
You guys must have spent some time early in your career playing at clubs where it wasn't Coachella, but maybe it was like 7 people. Mm-hmm. Can you speak to the importance of bringing it those nights?
Those are just like times. You know, you'll get better over time. Of course, you're not going to start your first show and be the best performer. It's like riding a bike or like having sex or like, it's just like you got to get good at it, you know? And no, but seriously, it's something that experience over time, you get better and better, more comfortable, and you get more ideas, confidence, and people see it, you know?
Yeah.
And
plus, it feels good when you're actually playing. Like I know how you must have felt like as your songs, you might be starting with new records, right? And then over like 6 months, you can drop the mic and people just sing everything.
Oh yeah.
And it feels so good when because even for me, I was playing records that we did, and I was like, I'm embarrassed by this record kind of. I don't really even think it's that great, but kids loved it so much. You know, I'm afraid to play some of my records sometimes, but then you kind of have to do it, and it just starts to build, and eventually that becomes like your biggest record, you know. And it feels so good to play those records, and it just, it's gigantic, and
for sure, yeah.
See it pop in a club.
Yeah.
It's very live shows. Every element of your career is important, man. Live shows, performances, the music, the production, the team around it. Every aspect needs to be focused on, and it's a process, you know. It's a process, and everything doesn't start off amazing. You know?
I remember one of my first tours, I'd rent a car, and I was using like Hotwire every morning to find the hotels to stay at, like as cheap as I could get them, like $15, $20. So I'm making like $75 a night, you know. And I was DJing, but I was opening for rappers on this indie label, and I was just following them around on their bus and my little car. And I remember sometimes I was just like in the back of them, like, what am I doing this? Like, what am I doing this for? I was driving myself everywhere. I had like one friend with me.
Oh yeah, we've been there.
You have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
I remember one show I did in Cleveland. I remember the sound was messing up. I had my vinyl with me, and it was like records were skipping. I had no fans there. I think the sound man just turned me off at one point. You know, like he was just like everything was messing up. And this one kid interviewed me. He was like, "Man, I was a fan of yours, but then I saw this show. I was like, damn, you suck. Like this is whack." And I remember that one time I was like, "Damn, I gotta get better at this. I gotta like really come with it every night, you know." But you gotta put that work in, even when no one's paying attention to you, and maybe build it up. But
I stop by small clubs all the time, right? And I'll put someone in Billboard that I just saw and I'm inspired by it. So you just never know who's gonna be in the audience, because I'll pop by like Rockwood in New York, and there'll be like 8 people there.
It's like having a restaurant. You never know who like that reviewer is gonna be, and you might like not make the best grilled cheese sandwich or whatever, and they might not like it.
You gotta make good grilled cheese sandwiches all the time.
Every night.
Yeah.
I got a couple more questions, and then we're gonna take some questions from the audience. There's gonna be a mic up, and if you want to tweet at me at BWERDE, I'm gonna take some of those questions first too. So just pointing that out. A couple last questions for you. Tell me a little bit about your creative process. How do you get in the zone? Like you were saying, when you were in London, you were kind of locked in. Do you guys create when inspiration strikes, or are you sort of more the sort where you bring a discipline to it, and every day you lock yourself in the studio a little bit, or how's that work for you guys?
Well, one thing I've at least for me personally, I realize it's not about necessarily how much time you put in or hours. It's about how you feel. It's about like working smart. You know, some people work smarter and don't have to work as long as others. And so when I hit the zone or when I like feel inspired, you know, I really like try and write as much as I can. My creative process is I just vibe out and go in the booth and do it. I don't really write anything down. I get the ideas together in my head and just go in there, because I find when I used to write stuff down, the time I would take to write it down, and then by the time I go on the mic, it's not like how I thought of it in my head, you know what I'm saying? As opposed to when I just think of it in my head and go in there, it like is the exact inspiration, it's the exact things. Sometimes you can't write how you say stuff. Sometimes you can't write how you're gonna say stuff on the mic, you know? So that's just my process. I go in there, vibe out to it, go in there on the mic and just like go. Yeah.
I'm like learning every day, you know. Sometimes I spend months on a record, like Get Free on the Major Lazer record. We kind of wrote it, and then it took us like 6 more months to actually mix it down and fine tune the hook and everything, you know.
Hell yeah, yes.
Background vocals, but sometimes, yes, you know, I work fast. A beat might come in 20 minutes, and it might be the biggest record I've done. You know, like Climax, we did it like in 30 minutes, bang, from start to finish, and it's about the feeling and the mood and the energy you have, you know, and you gotta just set up to where that works for you. And if something's not working, sometimes maybe it's better to move on, do another record. I mean, I know, especially when I work with rappers, a lot of times they go through a lot of records fast because if a vibe's not there, you gotta spark up again and make the vibe happen for another record.
Yeah, I've had songs where I've worked on them for months. Some I've, like he said, knock out in an hour. Some it'll be like, I'll come back to it next month, still can't get it, come back to it the next day, come back to it, and sometimes it'll take 3 or 4 months to get a song done. But you know, it's just it happens the way it's supposed to happen every time, and if you trust that.
I'm digging up records now that I had started 3 years ago that I never finished. You know, I'm like, maybe I can hear something different in now, because music changes and the styles change and your attitude changes and the way you hear things change all the time. So, especially nowadays, the way production is so fast and you know, trends happen so quickly, it's important to sit back and, you know, not take yourself so seriously, but just feel what it feels like and how, you know, how it moves and how it moves you.
Yeah, please don't feel like you're not creative or you suck because you can't finish something or come up with something. That's like really not the case. It's just all about feeling. You know that.
Move on. Even change the way you make music. That helps, you know? If you got to put a mic next to you, you're laying down on a pillow, whatever it is, you know, just like do something different, you know? It's always, things got to, like when you were working with Kanye, I know you guys went from like the Mercer Hotel to London to Paris, like you.
Yeah, some of them places I couldn't come up with anything.
Yeah.
Man. It was like, there's just the wrong vibe, the wrong, like, your mind isn't there, you're thinking about something else, or you may not, you know, it's so many different factors, man. It could be
sometimes you just need the royal family below you.
Exactly.
Sometimes you just need the royal family below you, you know, sometimes you just need to talk to your mom, man, you know, it's just whatever it is. Yeah.
Right on. Diplo, of the artists you've worked with, what's been the best creative relationship that you experienced, and what made it so great?
I think recently, like working with Usher was great because like someone on that stature, to put like a lot of faith in you. Because I mean, a lot of people, you know, everybody cares so much about, you know, the style and the trend, who's hot and what's good and what's this and that. But I think he really just trusted me. You know, he was like, this is the record, I want to do something like this, and I gave him my idea and concept, and we just. It's hard to get someone to really have faith in you as a producer nowadays, you know? And I appreciate that sometimes, you know? He let me just do that record and come up with the sound and the style, and, you know, that doesn't happen a lot of times, but you always look for that. So sometimes I always gotta, you know, negotiate things with different artists and things like that, and sometimes...
How does it go down in the studio when an artist isn't giving you that freedom? How do you
sometimes it sucks. I mean, sometimes I don't finish the records. I've been in sessions with people that never, you know, we don't finish records, you know? Sometimes we work for days and nothing happens. You know, sometimes we do 10 records. You know. Yeah. I've been with Dr. Luke, for instance, for like 2 days. We wrote like 8 songs. You know, sometimes I was with him another time. We didn't write anything. We just ate popcorn, and you know, it doesn't. Sometimes it just happens. But as a producer, you always appreciate when people trust you. You know.
Who's the artist out there right now that you're keen to work with that you haven't yet?
Me and Big Sean, actually we're gonna finish this record that we started a long time ago, but actually I love his music, and we've been going back and forth for almost a year now on some records, and the last time we worked together wasn't the best situation. We were both really tired, but we're going to, tonight we're gonna finish this record.
Yes.
guaranteed.
Yeah.
So,
fresh.
but there's, I mean, I'm so lucky right now. Rap music, especially, that's where I'm there a lot. I've done everything from rock and roll to, you know, pop music, but music is so great right now because all the rappers I'm working with are so open-minded and ready to just try different things, and the lane is open. I've done a lot of great records with 2 Chainz for his new record. He's been great to work with. Even Mike Posner, we just did a bunch of records for his new project.
Awesome.
We did a record, actually, me and you, Mike Posner, that's
Yes.
crazy.
Yes, that I did.
That a long time ago we talked about.
Yeah.
But-
And I did that one with Tiny Temper, you did too.
Yeah, we did some. Yeah, we've actually worked together quite a bit that no one's
yeah.
heard, but
But for my album. We'll do something for my album tonight.
but I'm always up for I'm up for anything all the time. You know, I'm excited. Right now is a great time for music.
And in terms of producers, what's the best experience you've had with a producer so far?
Great. It's always great work. One of my favorite producers to work with is No ID. He's somebody who saw the potential in me and really believed in me. And much like Kanye, but you know, Kanye's an artist, so he may not always have time to produce for you, but No ID really took the time out of his life, which he really didn't have to do, and taught me a lot, just not as an artist, but as a man, and was a real positive influence and mentor to me, and brought out the best in me and the best concepts. And he's somebody who I love working with, who is just, you know, keeps it very soulful, very real, and we just try things, and we're not scared to try different things. And I'm excited about the work me and him have done on this next album. It's really heartfelt. It's something new for me.
I also appreciate No ID because he has like that essential hip hop sound that you don't have a lot of guys that know the history and use samples and able to twist things up. And I've worked with him a couple of times too. He's an inspiration for me too.
And I love working with.
Kind of genius.
Yeah, it's a couple good ones. Kanye, of course, is awesome to work with. He's very nerve-wracking sometimes. You know, he's like intense and shit.
He seems like he'd be such a laid-back guy.
No, he's not laid back. He's he's very passionate. He's a very selfless person in the sense that he'll give his all. He'll put everything into music. I've worked with him and have been dead tired and trying to stay up with him, and it'll be 6 in the morning, and he'll be like, all right, man, go to sleep. I'll see you back here at 9:30. Like, man, what the hell? 9:30?
Yeah.
You know, like 9:30 a.m. So it's just like, yeah.
I'm with you.
So, but he's awesome. This a lot of new producers are great because they always feel like they have something to prove. So like, I signed my first producer. He goes by the name of Key Wayne, and he's a real awesome. He did a lot of great things on my album and on my Detroit mixtape. And he's a young producer. Been working with. Besides working with me, he's working with like Drake and Beyonce and some other people, big people like that.
So we got a couple Twitter questions I'm gonna take too. For a new, we can go through these quick or we can go through some, spend a little more time on some of them. This might be a quick one. For a new independent artist looking to chart, which is more important, YouTube or iTunes?
Which is more important?
More important, YouTube or iTunes? I mean, I feel like for a new artist, you kind of want to build a story on YouTube first.
I would say YouTube just because we use it so much, and it's, you know, iTunes, you can't find things a lot of times. I mean, you can't really start something there, but YouTube's things get reposted and you can build noise around those.
And
really
it's
easy.
visual.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can help tell that story.
The cool thing about YouTube is that it's the one, anybody could have a YouTube account and upload a video, anybody. You know, a lot of times iTunes, to get a placement or to have something enter the charts is very difficult, but you could just be like a punk rock band in China and you might get the same amount of YouTube views as like, you know, the brand new whoever.
Well, you also want to be able to distribute that link, right? Like you want
Right.
people to be able to take it. If they like it, they can send it somewhere and people can look at it on their phone or they can look at it whatever. And it's
Yeah.
easier, obviously, on YouTube than it is on iTunes.
Sure.
That was a question from Tyler Roca. A question, no, that was a question from Rabid, sorry. I love these handles. How does an aspiring producer eliminate unnecessary middlemen in order to get his work heard by the right invested people? So you guys would be the right invested people.
Right.
What's the best way to get you to hear a track?
I mean, to be honest, I had nobody to help me in the beginning, you know, and I help a lot of young producers now too. I feel like it's very important to just get your music out there, get heard. You can't just aim to get rid of your middlemen, to be honest. I mean, you have, like, he had to go through the radio station and his friends. I feel like if you're aspiring, just get it out there. Eventually, you're gonna be able to have control of what you're doing. You have your own empire and things like that. But just if you're starting out, there's so many young producers out there, man. It's like you might have to get a middleman, and that middleman might get a middleman, and just
don't go around the middleman. Get it to as many middlemen as possible.
Yeah, just get
but
it out
don't
there.
sign contracts that will make you owe someone
Don't sign
$60,000.
contracts. Yeah.
No.
what tools do you use to perfect your sound?
Can I answer that question?
Yeah,
too?
please.
Oh yeah, so I usually just have people send it to my managers or like the people around me, my crew. We've been really trying to make a conscious effort of just like listening to what people have to offer, because we ran across some real success, like really talented people, and you know, I believe in karma, like for real, and what goes around comes around. And when it came around for me, if I don't like give that same karma back, man, that's just like not right.
There's a band, you guys have heard of Sleigh Bells, that band from New York?
Yeah.
They came to my studio and they dropped off a demo CD in Philadelphia, and my engineer, who's Derek, who's here, got it, and I don't think I ended up ever listening to it. And they was like all mad at me, I never heard it, and they ended up signing a deal with Sony and everything, but they really wanted to be on my label back in the day. But since then I've always I try to listen to every demo I get and just be conscious about what I'm listening to and give everybody a chance for sure.
At least give it a chance.
Yeah.
Try, yeah. You can't. Sometimes it's a lot of talent, and it's a lot of people that think they got talent. So it's kind of hard to filter through sometimes.
No, but that's the truth. I mean, that's the hardest lesson. It's like you gotta, like on one hand, we stand up here and we're like, you know, if you believe in yourself, you just go, 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 and you never quit. But then there's some people that you kind of want to say, you know, you ought to quit. You know?
Well, you always have to be a realist, but
You could be a grade school teacher.
yeah.
I wasn't a good one.
You know, I take that back. You definitely don't have to be a realist, man. Like, I never looked at nothing like in reality form or realist or boundaries. It was always just kind of like limitless.
Yeah.
So I always do look at that, but just be smart, man. If you're really not good, like just know you're not good. You know, like you know.
Other people are clapping for that. Like, I'm not good.
or just get some friends that are honest, you know, like that don't just like, oh, that's hot. That's what you did. It was great, you know.
Yeah.
Like get some people that tell you how it is, you know, and you can improve and you can get better at what you're doing.
You can improve. Yeah, for sure. Man.
Got a technical question here. What tools do you use to perfect your sound? I don't know if you want to talk about that, or maybe there's just like a piece of gear or a piece of equipment or something that that's your go-to.
For me, I sample everything from YouTubes to like I use on the crappiest. You don't need anything anymore, man. Like I remember when he was talking about he had his last $40 in the studio. I remember my first time I was at the studio in Philly, and I was waiting for a rapper to get there, and I only had $150, and it was like $60 an hour, and he was 3 hours late already. And I had already paid. I was like, oh my God, I got no money, and they let me, you know, budge 15 more minutes, and he came in here and just dropped, you know, did this verse real quick. I didn't even like it, but that's all I had, you know? So a lot of times I'm like, now I'm at my house, you know, you don't need anything. You don't need a SSL board. You just need like good ideas, you know? Anything can happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good ideas, man.
Anything else to add to that particular question?
Just whatever works for you. You got to figure out what works for you. You know, for instance, when I record on a certain mic, or my engineer runs my vocals through a certain vocal chain. Just find what you technical stuff, but just find what works for you.
Will either of you take an intern?
An intern?
An intern. And then there's a little bit of editorializing. Everybody loves free labor, right?
I got an intern that works for my label right now, Mad Decent, that I give him guest lists for my shows and he sells them on eBay. So, like, I love that though. He's hustling already.
Yeah, he's got the hustle.
So, we don't need any more interns.
Yeah, I would take an intern, but it's just kind of like an intern to be a rapper, or what intern to be a manager. It depends like what the position is, you know.
Let me see. Why don't you answer both of those questions? Would you take a rapper intern?
Yeah, I would take a rapper intern.
I might like to apply for that.
Yeah, I want to do that.
If I believed in them, if I like saw a spark of you know, whatever. If I saw something that really made me want, I would definitely.
We can battle rap backstage.
All right, let's get it.
Okay, so question for Diplo. How do you feel about the direct association between dance, drugs, and the music you produce?
I think, you know, drugs and music have been connected since, you know, forever, different ways. It happens to be associated with dance music now. I mean, right now it's also associated with hip hop. You know, you have a lot of records that have that feeling and that vibe, but I don't see any connection with me particularly or whatever. I just make the music. I don't know what people are doing else in the audience. Probably having a good time.
There's definitely a connection there.
You've been told.
I've been told, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but man, sometimes, you know, I don't believe in like drugs and stuff. I really don't. Like, you know, Molly isn't like good or anything like that. You know, I'm not necessarily. I'm talking about the drug, by the way. You know, people talk about all that. I'm not into like all that, period.
Okay.
If I can't grow it, then, you know, I don't know it.
Organic, it's good.
Organic, man.
A lot of questions on my Twitter feed here about the process of picking your team, because you talked about like maybe you don't want to work with friends. So how do you go about finding the right people, and what was that process like for both of you to find the right people?
I've ran through a lot of managers. Well, I've actually have one of my managers who's been with me from the beginning is Mike Brinkley. He's managed other people like Nas and like big legendary people. And he's somebody who believed in me from the beginning, who was riding with me, who, when everybody turned their back on me, was sending me tracks and like pulling all the relationships he had to make it work. So that's like my fam for life.
Yeah.
And like a mentor to me, taught me a lot. But I've ran through other managers like who've co-managed that just like, you just got to find the right person for you, man. And assistants and road managers and like people like I said, the biggest mistake I made was having my like best friends be like my managers and road managers, man. And like we would go on the road and like we have to focus on business and they'd be focusing on like, everything else. And it's like, man, do your job, like that's the most important thing is just make sure you find people who want to do their job and who want to work and don't take you for granted and what you have to offer for granted.
I got lucky because I never had him. I only had one manager my whole career, and he offered to work for free for a year. I didn't think I needed it. Back then I was selling mixtapes, making money, wasn't paying taxes. I was just buying stuff, and since I had a manager, I was like, damn, I got to pay you this much money and pay my booking agent, and I got to start paying taxes. I was like, it was like crazy for me.
It's a hard reality.
It was hard, but
At least you got money to pay taxes.
Yeah. I didn't spend too much, so but I think that I was just lucky, and he strived to work for me for free. Now, and his whole crew now, everybody involved. I'm
So
lucky.
you're the same manager that you had back
since
then?
I had for about 8 years, and even the people that work with me at my label, like when my engineer here is DJ A, like kids, Paul Devereaux, Jasper Goggins, all these people who just were involved with me. Like I feel like I owe my success to them, directly because they like helped me stay up and helped me get my music done and helped me just be there and finish things. And because I was pretty irresponsible for the whole time, I needed like people to rely on me. I feel like, and then I got better at it, and they believed in what I was doing, which is important.
Anyone who was at the IMS summit yesterday knows that your team is willing to fight for you.
Yeah, one of them got in a fight at this thing, but yeah, he's kind of.
It happens. It happens. We get passionate.
Yeah.
I do want to say there's mics set up here. I think we're maybe time for like one or two more questions, but there are mics set up here.
Oh damn.
Why don't we go ahead and we'll take you there for all the people that are Twitter averse. Okay, over here.
Is this on?
Oh, there we go. It's on.
All right. My question is quick and simple. Are y'all looking for producer interns? I have CDs right here that I can start off with and hand off to you for free.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, definitely. All right.
There you
Mic's
go.
not working.
I'll put these here. You guys can fight over them.
Thank you.
Next question.
Are these different? I don't know.
Okay.
Same one.
Hey, my name's Denal. Look, I was listening when you were saying you spit 16. I was wondering, can I spit 16 for you? And I got some tracks too. Is that okay?
All right, so quick timeout. How many people want to hear him spit 16?
I promise.
How many people do not want to hear him spit 16?
Maybe he should just wait till after we do the questions, and then at the end, maybe you should.
At the end.
Is that okay?
At the end, we're going to take some more
All right,
questions.
thanks.
Hi, how you guys doing?
Let's make it a question.
First of all, I was just wondering, it never hurts to ask. You both said you're willing to help people out. You said you're doing a song tonight. Can I come join you? Whoa, I'm a songwriter.
Well,
I guarantee
it would be awesome, but we only have a couple hours paused together, so we should.
Okay.
And
Really,
I'm not even sure he was telling the truth to me. I think he was just trying to say, yeah, I'll work with you tonight, Diplo.
No.
He might actually have
Can I just sit and
I'm gonna remove an awkward situation, and I'm just gonna say, if you're in line right now because you want to record with these people, you want to watch them record,
Well,
you want to give them music, we're gonna ask you to take a seat, and you're gonna have to find your hustle a different way than this microphone. A question right here.
I have an actual question.
I would love an actual question.
Yeah.
I respect all you people trying to take advantage. I deeply respect it, but question.
Okay, my name's The Twiz, and I
Hello,
was just
The Twiz.
wondering for both of you guys, do you guys ever finish a song, it's completed, it's in the can and everything, and hear it later and be like, man, I really wish I did something different on that, like a reverse?
Every record I do, I feel
Man,
like
yes.
I feel like you can improve it.
Every single song, man.
I heard there's one good point another producer told me. He said songs never get finished; they just escape. You know, because you can always work on your records more. And every time I hear one, I feel like.
But that's a disease. That's a disease to work on something forever, man. Like you got to make sure you get it done, recognize what it is, and
move on.
Your toughest critic, man. You got to just move on and show the progression.
You got a whole life of music to make, you know. We're prolific. We try to make as much music as possible over here. So.
Cool. Thank you.
Question over here.
Big Sean and Diplo. My name is Hooks, and
I see.
Yeah, you see. This is more of a comment. I just want to say that I appreciate you guys coming down and sharing your story. It's very inspiring, especially when I hear how you were in the studio when Kanye West was walking away and you still went and pursued your dream, and that's really special. And this is, I'm gonna be bold as hell, but after everybody finishes, is it okay if I give you my CD?
Yeah.
After everybody's done?
Yes.
Cool.
Question over here.
Okay, this is a difficult question because I don't really ask questions, so I'm going to try to ask it intelligently. As a composer, and you guys are producers and so on, are you open? How does it work to get music that, if I'm not a producer but I'm a composer and I put a demo together, how do I get it to you guys? Do you ever get artists that are looking for music and are open to other composers giving you the music, but you're the producers? Because I can do a rough demo, but I'm not a producer. So
You should find someone to help you produce something, I guess.
Well, I mean, and once you get to that point, when you have something half decent, how do we get it to you? Because you really guys, I'm a huge fan of yours, and it's not that easy to get to you.
Like how do you get the music to us?
Yeah.
Oh.
You can throw CDs on stage like everybody else.
Well, for you, for instance, because my thing is like, I know you produce. There's got to be artists out there that want new songs that you produce. How do you find your songs? Because I'm a composer. How do I get my song to you guys?
So the question is, what's the best way for someone to get a track to you?
Email it.
I actually check there's an email I have. It's diplo@gmail.com, and I check every email on
Can you
that.
repeat that for me?
It's DIPLO, maddecent, MADDECENT @gmail.com, and that's like where those demos go. So you guys can all send me those demos.
Diplomaddecent@gmail.com.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. What's the email we always be checking, listening to all that? Huh? He usually pulls it up for me and plays it. It's promo@bigsean.com. Promo, PROMO, at the letter U, and we really listen to this. The letter U, KNOW, BIGSEAN, accepting all songs, demos.
I have a feeling you guys might get an email or two.
Also, we listen to
Naked
them
pictures.
pretty quick, so make sure they're good and they start out.
Yes.
Question in the middle.
Hi, my name is Pop Artist Toro. I also go by Miss Marley, and my band's The Elephant. And I want to pose this to Diplo.
Yeah.
Get Free, coming out under Major Lazer. That song is rejuvenated, re-energized my soul. I just want to know. Well, I want to thank you, first of all, for putting music out like that in the world, because reggae is music that I believe gives love to the world, and I'm a Bob Marley lover, and I thank you for doing that. Major Lazer is a huge part of the world. I think everyone in the world needs to understand that, especially because Get Free and Free the Universe is out now, and that's how we should all be feeling.
Yeah.
And
You got a question?
Video,
You got a question?
yes, I'm going to ask it. Sorry, it's just,
all
just seeing you and vibing out, and
No,
that
it's
song
beautiful.
changing my life, and thank you for putting reggae out, but as I do art, I do treatments for music videos as well. I know it's a raw, fucking incredible video in Jamaica.
Yeah.
Like as artistry between the video and the music, did you have a decision on that to put that video out?
I just think that song was like kind of like my poem to Jamaica, because I go there so much and I work so much there, and it was.
Oh, I saw Reincarnated, by the way.
Yeah, that's a great movie too.
Yeah,
and I think that just that I wanted to make like a homage to what I love so much about Jamaica, and And to be honest, that song's so great because of the collaborators I had with me. You know, Dirty Projectors were great and amazing song. I'm glad people pay attention because that record came out as a surprise to a lot of people that might think it was gonna be crazy dance music, but I'm glad people got to hear it.
No, it's pure raw
Yeah.
artistry. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
for
thanks so
putting that
much,
music in the
for
world.
sure.
Love.
Okay, I'm afraid we are out of time.
You got me on that
Damn, that's
16,
it.
right? Let me go ahead and give it to you.
Yeah, go.
What's the meaning of love? Somebody tell me. Doesn't mean I'ma never get hurt. Or will I catch it the worst if I exert all of my feelings? How can I relieve this functional million? And how do I find out if I'm one of the Lord's children? And am I my brother's keeper? If my pain is temporarily, but I can't keep deeper. I was shot 5 times, but I managed to duck the Grim Reaper. Feeling hostile and heartbroken. Out of all of my siblings, I was chosen to be the one in between a rock and a hard spot. Throwing up a brown hard knocks. Crooked cats that plot and scheme on a blind man's dreams. I learned as a team, my downfall can be the next man's opportunity. This can't be unity if he's trying to ruin me. Sorry about the mess up.
It's all good.
That's all good. That was awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, Big Sean and Diplo, thank you.